during the 8-day trial. And for more on today's closing arguments, we're joined live by criminal lawyer and former Crown attorney Chris Burkett. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk about sort of how, I don't know if this has been the case with you, but for me, I don't think I've been able to go a day off work where I haven't discussed this with somebody out in the schoolyard, at the grocery store. It's just the way it's been.
It's true. It is the buzz right now.
And this conversation is going to continue, at least for the next little while. Let's talk about public perception. We know that the defense talked a lot about these inconsistencies, but I know in having conversations with others, they're not so focused on the inconsistencies, they're focused on what happened.
Right.
So what's going to go forward as far as the public discussion you think around this is concerned?
I think the public, as far as the conversations I've had with people, it's the same idea, is why does it matter all of this information about what happened after the case? Why not focus on what happened and whether or not they're telling the truth about the events that are at the core of the allegations? And I think really that's what boils down to the two arguments that the Crown and the defense are making. The Crown is saying, yes, there were some inconsistencies, yes, there are some issues with some of their testimony, but on the core issues at stake in this case, they were unshaken on cross-examination. Whereas the defense is saying, no, there are enough inconsistencies, there are enough problems with the evidence that you can't trust any of it, including the aspects that go to the core elements of the offense.
In a trial like this, must be difficult for a judge, considering the he said, she said, considering the public scrutiny. This judge has a tough job ahead.
All eyes are on Justice Horkins now, and he's got a month to sit with his decision, and I think that was probably a wise decision. There's a lot of emotion. This is a trial that there's a lot of information for him to digest, and so he's going to take some time to look at the evidence, review it, think about it, review his notes, review any relevant case law, and then come to a sound, reasoned decision. And it's important to step back and give yourself time to do that. And Marie Henein, in her closing, even went as far as to tell the judge not to think about this in an emotional way, not to let the emotion of the whole city that is following this case to somehow interfere with his legal reasoning.
And considering that the verdict is now for maybe 5 weeks away, does this allow the city to sort of stand back and maybe look back at this objectively? What are the reasons for delaying this verdict or delivering this verdict in 4 to 5 weeks?
Again, I think that the real reason is there's a lot to digest, and given the heightened emotion around this case, I think it is a good idea for the judge to take that time. And I think for the city at large, I think most people will continue to talk about it, and there'll be a lot of editorial comment about how the case came about, how it was handled by the Crown, how the cross-examination. We're already seeing a lot of debates about cross-examination techniques.
You've been a Crown attorney before. The Crown's getting a rough ride in social media and in various ways. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they have a tough job, and of course Marie Henein is an excellent lawyer and can sometimes.
Could they have been more prepared?
I don't know, and I wasn't behind the curtain, so I wouldn't want to say whether they could have been more prepared. You would hope that they would have explored what may have happened after the alleged events, knowing that would be an area of potential weakness that Marie Henein would try to exploit. And so the idea that some of these matters, emails, photographs, came up so late and on the eve of testimony, as I've said before, is troubling. And where that blame lies is difficult to know from the outside, but certainly you would expect in these cases they would want to know all of the details, because you want to be able to take the air out of any cross-examination that has a lot more punch when it's coming out for the first time at that stage of the case.
We have appreciated your analysis over the 8 weeks, or 8 days,
Yeah.
8 days, really half of what it was supposed to be of the trial. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's at 2:05 right now and -10, bitterly cold temperatures.